Hello, my name is Ashlyn. I'm the Area Director for the Singapore Tourism Board Thailand. And the Singapore Tourism Board is a government agency responsible for championing and developing the Singapore tourism sectors.
สวัสดีค่ะขอต้อนรับเข้าสู่รายการ Focus Abroad รายการที่ให้ข้อมูลในทุกแง่มุมเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของการไปศึกษาต่อในต่างประเทศหรือการไปเรียนเมืองนอกค่ะและสำหรับสัปดาห์นี้เรายังคงอยู่ในช่วงของเล่าเรื่องเรียนนอกบอกเรื่องทุนกันอยู่ค่ะและวันนี้ทางรายการก็ต้องการที่จะนำเสนอข้อมูลเกี่ยวกับประเทศระบบการศึกษาและก็ทุนการศึกษาเช่นเดิมค่ะแต่วันนี้เราจะไปคุยกันกับประเทศที่เป็นประเทศบ้านใกล้เรือนเคียงของเราอยู่ใกล้กันนั่งเครื่องบินเพียงแค่2 ชั่วโมงเองค่ะนั่นคือประเทศสิงคโปร์ไม่ทราบว่าท่านผู้ชมทราบไหมว่าประเทศสิงคโปร์เนี่ยเป็นประเทศที่เริ่มได้รับความนิยมจากนักศึกษาไทยในการที่จะไปเรียนต่อต่างประเทศเพิ่มขึ้นทุกๆปีค่ะแล้วก็จริงๆแล้วเนี่ยโดยเฉพาะอย่างยิ่งจะเป็นช่วงของการศึกษาในระดับมัธยมศึกษาหรือไฮสคูลเนี่ยค่ะแล้ววันนี้เราก็ได้รับเกียรติจากแขกรับเชิญท่านหนึ่งคือคุณแอชลีย์ลูซึ่งมีตำแหน่งเป็น Area Director ของการท่องเที่ยวสิงคโปร์แห่งประเทศไทยค่ะเดี๋ยวเราไปคุยกับเธอกันค่ะว่าทำไมสิงคโปร์ถึงได้รับความนิยมจากน้องๆนักศึกษาคนไทยมากขึ้นค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Okay, thank you very much for joining our program.
Thank you.
So you're actually the area director of Singapore Tourism Board.
That's right.
And you look after this area, which is Thailand and Burma. So can you please briefly tell us what you do here? I mean, the organization. What is the function or the responsibility of the organization here in Thailand?
Okay, the Singapore Tourism Board is a government agency responsible for championing and developing Singapore tourism industries internationally. So over here we promote Singapore as a destinations for leisure travelers, business travelers, for healthcare travelers as well as education travelers.
Right.
So in these areas for Singapore Tourism Board work with several agencies in Singapore to promote and champion Singapore educations in Thailand. So we also try to keep the students informed of what is actually Singapore educations and their options available in Singapore and try to help them in making informed choice in choosing Singapore as an overseas educations destination.
Okay. Singapore becoming very popular as a destination and you are the leader of education in this region.
That's right.
So let's go to talk about education now. In terms of the education system, can you briefly explain what the education system in Singapore?
Okay, Singapore education system basically we promote two key areas. One is the basic educations.
Basic education?
Yes, and the other one is the higher educations, which also we term it as tertiary educations.
Right. Okay.
So for basic educations, we look at promoting to give our students a good foundations, a robust foundations in their future studies. So that will actually comprise of at least 10 years of basic education from primary school to secondary school to pre-university. So they will have 10 to 12 years of educations in the basic system. As well, then they will move on to the tertiary or we say the higher learning, which is also the university's level.
Okay, thank you very much for joining our program today. So Ashlyn, you actually area director of Singapore Tourism Board, an office based in Thailand. So can you please briefly tell us what is the responsibility or what you do here in Thailand?
Sure. The Singapore Tourism Board is a government agency responsible for championing and developing the tourism sector in Singapore. And so over here, we try to raise the profile of Singapore as a destination for leisure travelers, business travelers, educations, as well as healthcare.
Right. Okay.
And also in terms of educations, we work with several agencies in Singapore to promote and to educate students and parents about what is studying in Singapore about. So we share information under the brand of Singapore Educations.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so then let's talk about education. In terms of the education system, can you briefly explain to our audience what is the education system used in Singapore?
The basis of our Singapore educations is really to help our students discover their talents, to make the best out of their talents, to discover and realize their potential, as well as to give them the passions for lifelong learning. And in order to achieve that, we actually categorize our educations into two broad categories. categories.
Okay.
Basic learning as well as higher learning.
That's two levels.
There's two main broad categories. So for basic educations, we are talking about primary school, which is equivalent to the age of 7 to 12 years old.
Right, okay.
So after that, they will take the primary school leaving examinations, and then they move on to the second level of the basic education, which is secondary schools.
Right, okay.
And that will actually be between 13 years old to 16 years old, 4 years of education there.
Okay.
And then they will take the Singapore-Cambridge GCE O level.
Right, okay.
Okay, and then after that, they will move on to the next level, which we will say the GCE A level for 2 years. That will be between the age of 17 and 18.
So it's just like a completion of the high school.
Yes, the completion of high school.
Right, okay. And that's the A level is the maximum level for basic education.
That's right.
Okay, and that's the first one.
That's
Then
right.
the other one is
Then after that, we'll move on to higher learning,
right,
which is
university study.
universities. Yes,
Right,
it could be
okay.
universities for their bachelor degree, or it could be polytechnics with your diploma.
Right, okay. Vocational. Right.
Vocational, that's right.
Okay. Okay, so that's the education used in Singapore. Then, what is popular for Thai students? I have heard quite a bit about an increasing interest for Thai students and Thai parents
That's
to send
right.
the student, Thai student to go to Singapore, because one reason I think is because we are not that far.
Yes,
it's a
that's
bit 2
right.
hours by flying Tom. Then what is popular for them? I mean, the increasing interest is actually go to any particular sector of education?
We see that there's a lot of inquiries, a lot of interest from Thai students as well as their parents to come to Singapore for basic educations. Because of the robust system we actually offer them, as well as the diversity in terms of the course, as well as the options that are available. They can choose to go to the public school, or they can go to the international school for their basic educations.
Right. So international school is actually a private.
Yes, privately funded schools.
Right. Okay. So the student they go there. They have a choice to go to public school.
That's right.
Or private school.
That's right.
Okay. And what about the language used at the school? I mean, any school. Is it the same or
Yes.
it depends?
We try to. So the main language of education in Singapore is actually English.
Right.
But at the
okay.
same time, we do understand that people we also offer a diversity in the language they can choose. So there will always be a second language or even a third language that the students may pick up.
Right.
So it could be in Chinese, your Bahasa Melayu, your Tamil, or even Thai, or even French as well as Spanish.
Okay.
So that would be a second language that they can choose to take on.
Okay, since basic education in Singapore is very popular here in Thailand, so can you please tell us briefly about the process and how they get into the education in Singapore at this level?
Okay, for students interested to pursue a basic education in Singapore, they can choose to go for a preparatory course in Singapore first,
Right,
before
okay.
going on to take up the examinations for their admissions into the public schools, which actually there are two, which we can classify as AEIS, which means the admission exercise for international
And that's
students.
a central test.
Yes, it's a central test where the
okay.
Ministry of Education will
Right.
actually allocate the schools to the students after passing the exam and to see their grade, their performance, as well as the
Right.
availability in the schools. That will be centrally allocated. Otherwise, they also can choose to take the qualifying test, which will also, after with the result of the qualifying test, they actually can apply directly to the individual schools.
Right, and this exam is applied for the public school. Okay, so and how often do you run the test?
For the AEIS, we actually run it once a year
Okay.
to prepare them for the academic year, which starts in January.
Right, okay.
And for qualifying tests, it is actually run a few times a year.
Right, okay. So this test is actually compulsory for the public school only, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and what if the student want to go to private school?
They can actually apply directly with the private schools with their placement tests.
Right, so they take their academic result from Thailand and they contact the school directly and
Yes,
apply
and
directly.
and then they will take the placement test that is offered by the private schools.
Right, okay. So for those who could not get enough mark from the test, what's the other choice? What can they do?
Are you referring to the public or the private schools?
The public school.
The public schools. So if they actually can ask after, if they cannot get into a public school, they definitely can actually choose another options to go to the private schools.
Right. Okay. Okay, so that's a bit more information about the basic education
Yes,
over
but
there.
actually,
How many school? Yes.
sorry. Actually, I encourage students to actually also log into our Ministry of Education's website, which actually really detail down the steps and the procedures for admissions
so
into
can you
public
please give us what is the address for the website?
Yeah, sure. The web address is www.moe.gov.sg.
Right. Okay. And is it in English?
Yes, it's English.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Okay, how many school, how many places do you have for Thai students? I mean, how many schools that can take international
In
students?
Singapore, we have close to about 200 schools who can take on international students.
Right, and that's private and public school.
Yes, that's right.
Almost 200.
Almost 200.
And every single school can take international
Yeah, these
students?
schools can take international students.
Right, so it depends on your mark.
Yes,
If you
it
perform
depends.
well enough,
That's right.
you can study. Right.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, that's actually at the basic education level.
That's right.
What about after? Is university level?
Yes.
Okay, so some of the students, when they finish the A level, they can continue with the university
That's
there,
right,
How
yes.
many universities are there in Singapore?
For local university, current we have 4. Yes, which includes the more popular one, which is the National University of Singapore, Singapore School of Management, Singapore Management University, as well as Nanyang Technology Universities.
Right, that's 4.
4 local universities, public school.
Okay,
Yes. Else, we also have the leading foreign universities, which means that they actually are very brand names universities with satellite school and campus in Singapore, which includes INSEAD business schools.
So it's a new name university,
no.
it's actually
The foreign universities setting out their campus in Singapore.
and they're using their name.
Yes, using their
There's
names.
quite a few, right?
There's quite a few. There's quite a number of very good ones. Like I mentioned, the INSEAD Business School, DigiPen talk about technology, Institute of Technology, as well as schools say Teach Asia for Institute for the Arts. Yes.
Right. Okay. So actually, students finish the education system over there is all A level. Is it pretty much the same like the British system?
Yes,
right?
we actually for basic educations we follow the British systems.
Right. So does that mean the bachelor degree in Singapore is it 3 years?
It could range from 3 to 4 years.
Right. Okay. Depend on the area of study.
Area of studies, yeah. But if you're talking about medicines, then it will be about 6 years. So it depends on which area of studies they are talking about.
What about master degree? How many years?
Master degree, if they are continuing from their bachelor to their master degrees we are talking about basically about 2 years of master degree.
And the PhD?
Yes, that will
3
for
years.
yes about the same.
Right. Okay. And with the 4 with international student over there, I mean, in terms of the Thai student, I believe there's more on the basic education level. What about number of international students as a whole over there? What is the major nationality, international student in Singapore?
Currently, the major, we are seeing a lot of students coming in from China, from India, yes. But what we provide is actually a very holistic environment for international students to mingle, to mix around, to talk about different culture, as well as to expose them to the international environment. So the inflow of international students actually create this environment for even a Thai students to deal with a Chinese national, Indian national, Indonesian. So we actually have this environment.
Right. Okay. พักกันสักครู่นะคะ เดี๋ยวกลับมาคุยกันต่อค่ะ ค่ะกลับเข้าสู่ช่วงที่ 2 ของรายการค่ะ เรากลับไปคุยกันต่อนะคะว่าทำไมนักเรียนไทยถึงอยากจะไปเรียนที่ประเทศสิงคโปร์ค่ะ Okay, so why Thai students should consider to study in Singapore? What is good about Singapore education?
Singapore educations offer a world-class education system for our international students, and we are actually a cosmopolitan blend of the East as well as the West.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So you
It's
come
very
to Singapore.
multicultural.
It's multicultural, but we are so unique that it's because we actually are a very westernized society, but we also have the Asian value in us. So people who come to Singapore actually are actually at the stepping stones between the East as well as the West. So that is the unique blend of Singapore educations. And of course, we are talking about a world-class infrastructure, world-class education facilities with top schools, very good students, leaders, as well as teachers as well. So we are talking about, how when they go to Singapore, how they can actually easily blend into the culture of a Singapore education environment. Of course, we are just 2 hours away, very close to Thailand, to Bangkok as well. So we are also talking about Singapore being very safe. The people are friendly and very hospitable. So that's make it a very good destination for overseas education for Thai students.
Okay. And what about the cost? The budget the parents have to think about when they want to send their kids to Singapore. The tuition cost, the living cost, just an average.
Okay, actually pursuing an education in Singapore, we are talking really about the value for money in terms of you are giving this amount of money and what you are actually getting in return. If you are talking about basic educations, depending on your living expenses, the style of living, we are looking at maybe a cost of Sing dollar 20,000 a year.
In total?
In total.
Which is, about how much for the tuition fee and how much for the living cost?
Tuition fee, if for basic educations, we are talking about maybe 2,000 to 3,000, depends on level of studies for a year.
Per year?
Per year.
Right, okay. That's affordable.
It's very affordable because Thailand being part of ASEAN, the students actually get a preferential rate compared to non-ASEAN students.
Right, so it's not an international student tuition rate.
No, it's not.
It's the ASEAN
Yes,
rate.
ASEAN rate
Right,
for basic
okay.
educations.
Okay, so that's the tuition for the basic education.
That's right.
What about university? Just an idea.
Universities, if we are talking about local universities, there will be two rates. One is for the local, as another one is for the international students.
Right, okay.
If you are talking about maybe a course in a business faculty, maybe we are looking at a year of tuition fee about 10,000 or below.
Right, okay. That's the international student
Yes,
rate.
international students rate.
Okay.
But we encourage students who are interested in pursuing a higher learning, meaning university's degree in Singapore, to also go into the website, the university website, to actually get very detailed breakdown of the cost, the living expenses, which this website provides.
Right, okay. Okay, that's the cost or the budget that parents should consider. What about the scholarship? In terms of the public scholarship, scholarship from the government, is there any or scholarship from a private sector? Is it available for international
it's actually available for students. So we are talking about ASEAN scholarship that is offered by the Ministry of Education.
That's the basic education level, right?
Yes, the basic education level. Or else if they are actually enrolling into universities, they actually can also apply for scholarship with the individual schools that they actually offer.
Okay, so that's for international students.
Yes, that's right.
So it's some available at the basic education and also available at the university.
That's right.
Right, okay. Where can I get information about scholarship? Is there any website they can go to and look for more information about the scholarship?
We encourage our students, international students, before coming to Singapore to go to the website of the Singapore Educations, which is www.singaporeedu.gov.sg.
Right.
So it is actually a one-stop platform for students to get information about education in Singapore in general. Everything. Yes. From that, they actually can have links to the different ministries or different partners we have for Singapore education.
Right. Okay. Okay. So now let's talk about visa for Thai student. As an international student, if you want to go to Singapore, if we want to go for holiday, we don't have to apply for visa. But if we want to go for study, do we need to get a student visa?
Yes, they will need, for all international students studying in Singapore, they will need to apply for a student pass, which is actually equivalent to the student visa.
Okay.
But first
the
first and foremost is actually really to get them into a school first. So they have to actually get admission. Offer by a school.
Letter, something.
Something like that. Okay. They have to they should be accepted into a school first before applying for the student visa with our immigration checkpoint authority.
Right.
So, but the detail.
Where can they get information?
The detailed information that they can get is actually from the website of this ICA Immigration Checkpoint Authority at www.ica.gov.sg.
Right. Okay. so they can get more information on the process.
That's
of the
right.
Timeline.
That's right.
Right. Okay. So, what about work? Everyone asks when they want to send kids somewhere, I mean, even it's for the university level or high school, they're gonna ask the cost, the scholarship, and about work. Can international student work in Singapore? What is the regulation as a student?
As an international students, the students can work only if they are enrolled into an institute of higher learning,
Right.
which
So,
includes
above the basic education.
yes, above basic education,
Right.
tertiary
Okay.
level, the higher learning.
Okay.
So this will include enrollment into a leading foreign university, a local university, or a local polytechnics.
Right.
So if they are enrolled into any of these schools, they're actually able to work during their vacations.
Right. Only during the vacation only.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And after they finish, they have to come back. In some, the reason I asked because some country they said they not allow students to work during the study period, but after you finish, you can work up to a certain years, 1 or 2 years. But in Singapore, after you finish, you have to come back, right?
We actually have a 1-year provisions for the students to actually seek opportunity, employment opportunity after the end of their course.
Right. Okay.
Yes, so
they
there's
can,
a 1-year gap for them to actually find a job in Singapore.
Right. Okay. If they can find a job, they can
Yeah.
extend their stay. Okay.
That's right. Then they will go into a work permit.
Right.
Yeah, so that will
okay.
be a separate, working in Singapore.
Okay. And can you explain, just to give an idea to the parent and the student about student life over there as a student, what kind of thing they can expect to see over there as a student?
I guess for students international students going to Singapore for educations, what they expect is actually, as I mentioned before, they can actually experience the global perspective as well as the Asian perspective of educations. But in particularly to Singapore, for Singapore case, we are trying to develop our students in a curriculum that actually develops them as an all-rounder. So beyond the field of academic, we are also trying to develop them in other areas.
To do other things.
Could be arts, could be sports.
Right.
So they can expect their life to be not only with the textbook
in the class and reading the book, taking the exam.
Yeah, it's beyond that. We try to give them other areas.
So it's part of the program.
It could be part of.
When you talk about extra activity.
Yes.
So it's put in part of the program.
Yes.
And it means they can do it in the program.
In the schools, the school offer this as a program for them.
Okay. What about university level? I mean, are we so different or are we the same in terms of the learning
I think
environment
in terms
and
of learning style for Singapore University is kind of different from Thailand because we try to encourage students to go beyond the textbook as well. So a lot of exam are actually project basis.
Right.
You don't get your marks fully by just sitting down for exams.
Okay.
They actually can go through in a group, project based, or they can do research actually to attain their scores. So it's actually a very well-rounded kind of curriculum.
Right. So they actually the curriculum they actually encourage students to participate more, isn't it?
Yes.
In Thai system, I mean, we normally part of the culture thing. I think we are very shy. We not very participate. Even we know what's the answer, but nobody raise up the hand and give the answer. I mean, that's normal for Thai students, but over there, that's not the case.
That's not the case these days because we have to adjust because we are preparing our students to go out into the society, and that actually requires them to think, to actually participate, to questions, to research, to reach to that point of entering the society. So we are seeing a lot of our students getting more vocals. They will speak their mind. They will ask questions. They will we try to inculcate this thinking culture in our students as well.
Okay, so they have to, for Thai students who want to go to further study there, they have to adjust themselves quite a bit.
Yes.
Because I mean, if they need to, I mean, for example, they need to participate to get good marks. They need to participate more in the class.
But this is actually good because as a foundation, as a basis for their future, this is actually a very good learning platform for them to do that.
To work.
And being in Singapore is good because we still do share the same Asian values. So that is something that that's why we say in terms of a cosmopolitan blend of the East as well as the West.
Okay. So finally, for those who want to get more information about education in Singapore, need advice about where to go, what to do next, how can they contact you? Can you please leave us the contact detail?
Yeah, sure. They can call our office anytime during office hour.
Okay.
Our number is 02-630-4774. Or they can go into our website www.stb.gov.sg where they can get our address and come to our office to talk to our colleagues directly.
Right. So you got Thai students coming in for more information?
Yes, we do have.
Someone call, someone come in.
That's right.
Okay. And that's actually the name of the organization is Singapore
Tourism Board.
Right. Okay. But you have a sector for education separately.
Yes, we have a sector called the Singapore Education Sector that we deal directly with students as well.
So you actually give out information to the student. Do you help them with application or just information?
We give them the information. We provide them with all the information so that they can make an informed choice about how they want to pursue education in Singapore. And we actually guide them along the way. But in terms of applications, talking to schools, they will actually talk to the school directly or they will go through the process on their own.
Right, okay. But at least this is a best study point for them.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time today.
Thank
I
you.
think the audience got a lot of value information today. ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ
ค่ะสำหรับท่านที่ต้องการติชมรายการหรือส่งคำแนะนำให้กับทางรายการสามารถติดต่อมาได้ที่ Pro Internet ค่ะศูนย์แนะแนวศึกษาต่อต่างประเทศเบอร์โทรศัพท์ 02-658-0730 หรือส่งอีเมลมาที่ info@prointernet.com ค่ะและอีก2ช่องทางที่สามารถใช้อัปเดตข่าวคราวเรื่องของการไปศึกษาต่อในต่างประเทศได้คือ Facebook ไปที่ facebook.com/prointernet หรือ Twitter @prointernet ค่ะสำหรับวันนี้เวลาของรายการหมดลงแล้วค่ะติดตามชมรายการ Focus Abroad ในช่วงเล่าเรื่องเรียนนอกบอกเรื่องทุนได้ใหม่ในสัปดาห์หน้าวันนี้เราทั้งสองคนขอลาไปก่อนค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ